reluctant to do it, sir.
Well, you're the one who went on the internet with a fake ID and bought arsenic trioxide, right?
I did.
You planned out a way to try to get Rob Limon this poison to kill it. You did. Right?
Alone?
I know what you want to say, but you did that, right, Mr. Hearn?
I was just asking you to clarify your question, sir.
Sure, let me put it to you this way. Did Sabrina buy the poison?
No, I purchased
Did
it.
Sabrina make the pudding that you say that you supposedly gave to her?
No, I didn't.
Did Sabrina poison a helpless dog
No.
and kill it like you did?
As I said, I never confirmed that I killed the dog, but no, she did not do that.
And there's no way Sabrina would ever have poison in her house where her children could get at it, right?
Objection, speculation.
Based on your knowledge of Ms. Limon, she was a loving, caring mother, right?
Objection lacks foundation.
As to whether his belief she was a loving, caring mother, so
Vague as to time then.
I'm sorry?
Vague as to time.
During the time frame of your relationship with Ms. Limon, you believe she was a loving, caring mother, right?
Generally speaking, yes, sir.
And would you agree that she is extremely protective of her children
Objection, speculation.
based on your observations and dealings?
with that addendum overruled.
I would not characterize her as extremely protective, sir.
Because she got involved with you?
We heard in the wiretaps that she said that her son told her she'd become a much better mother after she'd stopped drinking. So, I mean, I'm not judging her. I'm just saying there's always perhaps room for improvements.
Did you ever hear in those wiretaps her son saying, or her statements to the police where her son said she was not a good or protective mother?
I have not heard that the police said that she was a poor mother.
Or heard her say that, right?
Well, she loosely suggested that by her comments to me on the wiretaps, but I don't think she ever outright said she was a horrible parent. And I certainly wouldn't say she was.
So, purportedly, you're having all these conversations with Sabrina. You're having supposedly all these ideas to kill her husband. And you did so coldly and very calculated manner. Would you not agree?
That I killed him in a cold and calculated manner?
Yes, sir.
Certainly.
And never once in the time that you were involved with Sabrina did it ever come to your mind to say, oh, heck, no, I'm not doing this, right?
As I testified to having reluctance, yes, I did think that on a couple separate occasions, but something overcame those better judgments. Someone.
you're saying Sabrina controlled you?
During what time, sir?
Well, I'm asking you, during this time that you're planning to kill her husband, she's in control of you?
With what respect, sir?
I'm trying to understand. You're the one who said that someone else convinced you to overcome your reluctance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you saying Sabrina Limon was the one who controlled you?
On one level, certainly, I'm saying that. On another level, of course, I have free will. Of course, I'm a adult responsible for my own actions, and that's all.
Well, how did Sabrina overcome your free will to get you to murder her husband?
Mr. Terry, I could recite our story from the beginning of 2012, and that's not probably what you want to hear right now. Furthermore, it won't provide any logical basis for me doing something horrible that I did. The fact that I sinned in killing her husband cannot be pathologized. It cannot be made to make sense, because it is illogical. It is wrong. It was a horrible act, and I do live with the guilt and regret from that. However, as to how she influenced me, there's not enough time in the setting of this jury to describe the overt gestures of her love towards me that were very compelling and very convincing. Of the things, unfortunately, there's only been very, very few of them submitted into evidence, as far as, a few letters or texts, but the fact remains we had a very sordid, ongoing affair for years, and she did play a very influential role in my life. I'm not using it as a justification, and also I want to be very clear that I'm not blaming her for doing something that I myself am responsible for. I'm not here to judge her. I'm only here to speak truth, sir.
That's for the jury to decide whether or not you're being truthful, sir.
Thank
right?
you.
And it's also your responsibility to answer my question specifically asked. What specifically did Sabrina Limon do from January to September of 2014 that overcame your free will, sir? And if you can't answer it, that's fine.
Well, maybe we'll start with the Valentine's Day letter that she wrote me, saying I was made for you and you were made for me, on Valentine's Day of 2014. The same year that I know you're trying to report she had a good relationship with her husband. This is the same year that she was frequently pursuing me for rendezvous and getting together at my house or her house whenever opportunity presented itself. I'm not saying that an affair is akin to murder, but you already know the controversy and the trouble in me that I had in the first place of being with a married woman, and she overcame those better judgments. I would say it was a very systematic, slippery slope with her, all the way from 2012 in the beginning, when I began to withdraw, and she approached me emotionally, tearfully, and it truly kind of broke my heart at that time, as it did many times after that. Whenever I would go to sort of back away or withdraw from the relationship, It's difficult for me to describe, but I loved her.
And you've done anything for her?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure, you'd have done anything for her.
It seems I did, sir.
Okay. You do things for her just because she filled a need you had, and with your relationship, she filled a need you had, right?
If you'll remember the emotional picture of me December of 2013, the context of that letter was, or the context of that time, why it was so emotional for me is because I had come to the conclusion that I would do whatever was best for her. At that time, I was willing to distance myself and separate myself from her if it would be what was best for her, essentially leaving the decision ultimately, I don't want to say in her hands, but with her best interest in mind. And so that time, the time I cried, when I hardly ever emotional, it had truly broken my heart, the thought of carrying on life without her, yet here I was willing to do what broke my heart for whatever was best for her. That was the foundation of a reunion with her that began all the plans for her, for me to kill her husband. It was at that time that she convinced me that she didn't want to go on living without me. She did want an ongoing relationship, sir.
Throughout 2+ years you were in custody, did you still continue to love Sabrina and want to be with her before you entered your plea?
If I could make this point abundantly clear, that I don't have a romantic love for her anymore, but I certainly do love her.
So as the time apart, as you became less enamored with her?
Much different kind of love now, so I guess you could say that entrancing, enthralling person I saw her as perhaps had to be compared with the truth of our relationship and what we'd accomplished through it.
It had nothing to do with the fact that in 2016 you were made aware that she was seeing someone you described as her former lover, Dale Smith, right? Had nothing to do with that. A sense of betrayal, perhaps?
You're asking if I still love her because she was with Dale?
No, sir, that's not what I asked.
That's what I'm asking.
My question is you remained silent from November of 2016 until January of 2017. And it wasn't until you became aware in 2016 that she was seeing Dale Smith again that you came forward. Would that be accurate?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. You found out in 2016 that she was seeing Dale Smith again, her former lover, right?
I don't recall, sir.
year at the preliminary hearing?
Oh, I do.
You remember you were under oath, much like you are here today.
I do.
Let me approach. Yes. I ask you to read, starting at line 18 to yourself through 21.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I refresh your recollection that you became aware in 2016 that Ms. Limon was seeing Mr. Smith again.
As the question was posed in the prelim, sometime between November of 2014 and January of 2017, I became aware of that.
And you didn't feel, since you made this sacrifice for Sabrina, you didn't feel any sense of betrayal? Is that what you're saying, sir?
I had already gotten over those emotions long before, sir.
Now, I want to go over some of the items that the police found at your residence during the searches they did this year on January 3rd and I believe January 7th. First, on January 3rd, after they spoke with you, they went and searched your former residence and found the arsenic where you told them it would be. Is that right?
That's my understanding. I'm not sure.
Well, you had told them where to look, right?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure where they found it, though. I wasn't part of the investigation.
I understand that. Well, to your knowledge, had it been moved from where you originally hidden it?
Yes, sir.
It had been moved from where you had originally hidden it?
Yes, sir.
It had been moved from the paint bucket to somewhere else?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. So it was in a paint bucket. That's where you told them.
Yes, sir.
And that the paint bucket had been moved is what you found out later?
Slightly from where I thought it had been in the garage, based on my recollection.
And obviously other people have been in your former residence, which is on your grandfather's property, other members of your family. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I just rent the room, but the garage attached to it is all part of my grandpa's business and so forth.
Okay. Now, you'd had that poison from April, at least, of 2014. And it was still in the same location up until November,
Yes, sir. It was
or in the bucket even.
I placed it in the bucket sometime after August, sir.
So you'd had it in your residence, inside your house from April until August?
No, sir, not in my house. I believe I testified previously that I bagged it up, maybe double or triple bagged it, and placed it in a very secluded part of the garage. However, after August, I seem to recall placing it in a paint bucket.
Now, you worked for the fire department at the time, right?
I did.
And it actually is normal for the fire department to handle and dispose of hazardous waste and poisons, right?
That was part of my job, yes, sir.
Okay, so it would have been very easy as a part of your job to get rid of that evidence. Is that right?
Not very easy, sir, just because arsenic is a pretty rare and highly toxic poison, and I just work on the collection side as far as collecting it from household hazardous waste materials from people, but I'm not one of the ones who would actually, I'm not a hazardous materials technician who would actually have to process and figure out where it came from and all that. So there would have been some sort of suspicious hoops I would have had to go through.
That's an answer, it's just that.
You killed Rob Limon, right?
I did, sir.
And you violated that covenant, right?
The commandment, yes, sir. Yes, I violated that.
Despite all your beliefs, right?
Certainly, it was despite my beliefs, or, well, yeah, certainly it was despite my beliefs.